Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. Today we have a very special deck that is going to revolve around the Beartic from the Furious Fist set. Now this is a Pokemon that was at one point really popular. It was a very effective counter to Pyroar when Pyroar was a popular card that was being run, just because with the Igloo Hold attack, Beartic could quite easily take care of Pyroar, and it tended to be run quite often in Verzian EX, Genesect EX type decks. Now this Pokemon doesn't really see a whole lot of play anymore. In fact, I don't think I've encountered a single Beartic deck really since Pyroar died down in popularity. So it's actually been quite a couple of months since I last encountered a Beartic deck, and I'm assuming that's probably the same case for a lot of you guys as well. But anyways, Beartic is a pretty solid Pokemon. I mean, it's only a stage 1 Pokemon, but it has a massive 130 HP, and the Igloo Hold attack can be quite powerful, especially if we're facing a deck that really has a lot of bulky Pokemon with high retreat costs. So the Igloo Hold attack hits for an initial 20 damage and an additional 20 more damage for each energy card on the opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. So if we have, for example, an opponent's Pokemon that has 4 energies that they would need to be able to retreat their active Pokemon, then that means Beartic can hit for 100 damage. Now, if we have some of the Jellicents as well, with the stickiness ability, we are going to be increasing the number of retreat costs on the opponent's Pokemon. So this is going to allow our Beartic to hit for more and more damage. So for each Jellicent that we have on our bench, that is going to increase the total damage output of our Beartics by 20 additional damage. Now some Pokemon that could be quite troubling, really stadium cards that can be really troubling, are Pokemon such as the Darkrai EX, and of course the Fairy Garden Stadium card can be quite troubling as well. So to combat that, we are going to be running a total of 3 copies of the Silent Lab. Again, this is just for us to counter Pokemon such as the Darkrai EX. Caldew EX can be quite troubling as well, just repeatedly rushing in and retreating, and they often tend to have the Float Stone latched onto them. So Silent Lab is hopefully going to allow us to take care of a lot of those types of Pokemon. And yeah, so that is going to be our main counter to both the Fairy Garden, of course, because Silent Lab is a stadium card, so that is going to take the place of the stadium card and play. And of course, it's going to allow us to take care of a whole lot of troubling decks that run Pokemon such as the Darkrai EX, for example. We also are running a total of 2 copies of the Team Aqua Secret Base. Now, in case we're not facing a deck that is running Pokemon such as the Darkrai EX, Team Aqua Secret Base is a very solid option, just because it will increase the total number of energy cards required for the opponent's active Pokemon, and of course their bench Pokemon to be able to retreat, unless they're actually running any Team Aqua Pokemon, which is really rare, I would say. So this also allows us to increase the total damage output of that Beartic. Now the very last Pokemon that I feel needs discussing is the Reshiram. The only reason that we're running Reshiram is because there are quite a few steel decks that are out there that can be very menacing against our Beartic deck, just because Beartic has the steel weakness. So those steel Pokemon can absolutely ravage the Beartics. Luckily for us, Reshiram is super effective against any steel type deck, and funny enough, the very first deck that I actually encountered happened to be a steel type deck, and that Reshiram really came through for us. So I would say it's a pretty nice addition, but I haven't really extensively tested this deck. In fact, I've only played a single battle with it, so it's probably going to need quite a bit of tweaking. But in our case, guys, we are going to be running a total of 2 copies of the Reshiram. So we're also running a couple of different energy cards. Luckily for us, our Beartics do get going for a single double colorless energy attachment, so that is kind of nice. The 3 fire energy cards are in case we'd like to make use of the Reshiram's blue flare attack, and of course the 3 water energy cards are in case we'd like to make use of the Jellicent's attack and possibly the Beartic's mountain drop attack. Anyways, discussing some of the other item cards in our some of the trainer cards in our deck, guys, we're going to be running the computer search as our ace spec. I haven't really extensively tested any sorts of ace spec cards, so this could potentially be scrapped out for a card such as the Dowsing Machine, but for the time being we are going to be sticking with the computer search. Our Pokemon are very bulky, almost every single one of them, so the escape rope and the switch are going to come in handy just to allow us to switch in between our Pokemon. We are running a total of 2 copies of the Dive Ball. The vast majority of our Pokemon are going to be water types, but of course we are running 2 copies of the Reshiram as well, so I felt like it would be nice just to include 2 copies of the Ultra Ball in our deck as well. In case we have to discard any of our Pokemon, and send them into the discard pile, or we'd like to reuse our Beartics, for example, which have already been sent to our discard pile. Sacred Ash is going to help us with respects to that, so we are running a single copy of this card. We're also running a single copy of the Starling Megaphone. That's mainly for us to deal with those Garbodors, just so that we can make use of the Jellicent's special ability. And that is most of the cards that I felt really needed discussing. We're also running a total of 2 copies of the Wally. We're running a pretty extensive evolution line, so Wally actually seems to do a whole lot of good in this deck. Again, I've only played a single battle, so take it with a bit of a grain of salt, but I feel like Wally can definitely pull its weight in this type of deck, so we will be running 2 copies of it. Now, the rest of our cards, guys, I'm going to be discussing quite quickly. We are running a total of 2 Fiat Seekers to reuse any of our supporter cards, 2 Colruses, 4 Ends, and 4 Junipers will be used for some draw support, 2 Lysanders to lure out any of our opponent's bench Pokemon, and a total of 2 Muscle Bands to increase the total damage output of our Pokemon. I've already discussed the remainder of our cards, so what we're going to be doing now is finding ourselves an opponent. Now, we're only running a total of 10 energy cards. You guys may think that that is not a whole lot, and that is absolutely true, but Beartic gets going very, very quickly. I mean, all it really needs is the double colorless energy. Same with the Reshiram to a certain extent, unless, of course, we want to make use of that blue flare attack. So, you guys will see that I think it should be more than enough for the most part. Alright, so let's go in with the tails, and looks like we're going to flip a heads instead. The opponent is probably going to choose to go first. Yep, looks like they are going to be starting first. Looks like we're going to start off with the Furlish as our active Pokemon. Not exactly the greatest hand. Hopefully we can get some sort of draw supporter and get some energy attachment going as well. Looks like we're going to be seeing an Incada and the Phoebus as well. Okay, so it looks like the opponent is going to be running some sort of mill deck, it seems like, and the opponent is going to send that Cubchoo into the discard pile. We're going to see the repeat ball, and looks like the opponent's going to look for another Nincada. Positive that the melodic that the opponent is going to be looking for is the one that allows him to retrieve any card from the discard pile. So I'm going to have to play this game a little bit safe. Let's go and lay down the Silent Nab. Not really sure how useful that is going to be, but we'll see. Alright, so I'm going to go and make use of the Ultra Ball. Yeah, so let's go and make use of that Ultra Ball, get rid of the Starling Megaphone and the Furlish in our hand. We'll be actually getting rid of all the cards in our hand. So I'm going to go and temporarily look out for the Reshiram, and then I'm going to go and make use of that Computer Surge to get rid of the remainder cards in our hand, and then look for the Professor Juniper. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully we can actually start doing a little bit of damage, but it doesn't look like we'll be able to really do anything just yet. And since we'll be able to increase the number of energy cards required for the opponent's Pokemon to be able to retreat, we can actually do quite a bit of damage. So our opponent won't be able to just freely retreat. So I think that's definitely gonna work in our favor. So Cubchoo, should I look for? Yeah, you know what? Let's go and bring out our first Cubchoo and then lay it down into our bench. I'm gonna go and attach a water energy card to our Furlish. I mean, I may just have to retreat it. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go and attach it to the Furlish and then end the turn. We're probably gonna see a whole lot of energy disruption cards though, guys. Probably going to be seeing a lot of hammers. Possibly the opponent's running some head ringers as well, things like that. Looks like we're going to see the first Ninjask make its appearance. Again, as you guys can see, it has absolutely no retreat cost at the moment. But as soon as we bring out a couple of our Jellicents, that is going to change. Looks like we're going to see Melodic make its appearance. Trick Shovel, as I think the card we're probably going to see. Maybe we're going to see another repeat ball. Okay, so it looks like the opponent decided to opt for a repeat ball. And looks like we're going to see a second Ninjask make its appearance. Again, we'll be able to win as long as we can draw our prize cards faster than the rate at which the opponent can deck us out. And my goodness, looks like we're going to see the switch going into the discard pile. Yeah, so we're going to have to manually retreat the Furlish, or at least attack with it. So yeah, so we're seeing quite a few cards starting to go into that discard pile. Alright, so let's go and bring out our very first Jellicent, guys. I'm gonna go and attach a water energy card to that Jellicent as well. Let's go and use that Wally to look out for an additional Jellicent. This should hopefully prevent the opponent's Ninjasks from being able to freely retreat. And then let's go and end the turn. Now the opponent's going to have to repeatedly discard some cards from their hand in case they want to keep making use of that Wing Buzz attack. And luckily for us, that Jellicent should hopefully be able to take care of the opponent's Pokemon. But again, Jellicent doesn't hit for a whole lot of damage, so that is a little bit troubling. Alright, so we do see a switch card that the opponent decided to give up with respects to getting rid of the top card in our deck. Looks like we're going to see the Escape Rope. My goodness, this is going to be a pretty troubling sort of battle. Let's go and bring out the Reshiram temporarily, guys. We are seeing the other Ninjask make its appearance, but of course the opponent had already used his Pokemon's special ability. So let's go and Team Aqua's Secret Base. Yeah, you know what? I don't think our opponent is running a whole ton of Pokemon that have a whole ton of basic Pokemon that have special abilities. So I think we should be relatively safe with the Team Aqua Secret Base, and that will increase our Pokemon's damage output by a little bit as well. Let's go and look for that Professor Juniper, use it, and hope we get the double colors energy. We're not gonna get it. My goodness, six supporter cards in our hand, guys, and the VS Seeker. That is just an unbelievable hand we have just drawn into. The opponent is going to get rid of the Silent Lab at the top of our deck, and it looks like we're going to get that double colors energy. So finally we're going to be able to start doing a little bit of damage to our opponent. Now I feel like we don't really need to use any of our cards just yet. I could use the Wally though to look for the Beartic, and you know what, I think that is what I'm gonna do. I'm not really gonna use any of our draw supporters. I mean, I do have to be careful just not to deck out. So let's go and use that Outrage, hit our opponent's Ninjask for 40 damage, and that is going to be the end of our turn. Looks like we're gonna see the Professor Birch's Observation. The opponent is gonna flip Details, but they're probably gonna force a couple more of our cards into the discard pile. So as long as we can knock out our opponent's Pokemon before they're able to deck us out, we should be able to win. At least we've prevented the opponent's Ninjasks from being able to freely retreat, unless of course the opponent makes use of cards such as the Switch and the Escape Rope. Unfortunately, Sacred Ash went into our discard pile as well. That would have been a really useful card to recycle some of our Pokemon back into our deck. So it is a little bit unfortunate, but that's okay. So let's go and attach a Water Energy card onto the Beartic for now. I guess that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and Lysander out the opponent's Ninjask as well, and then let's go and use the Outrage to knock it out and draw onto our first prize card. Now I do have, again, to be very, very careful that we don't deck out, because of course that would cost us the game. The opponent is going to use the N, reduce the number of cards in our hand. Awesome, looks like we're going to be able to draw onto the Muscle Band. That will allow us to knock out the opponent's Ninjask. Again, it's not able to freely retreat unless the opponent makes use of a card such as Switch. We're seeing another Trick Shovel that will reduce the number of cards in our deck by a little bit more. Looks like it is going to be an N going into our discard pile this time around. Trick Shovel once again. My goodness, we still have quite a few cards in our deck. So again, I have to be very, very careful from here on out. We are seeing the Ultra Ball, and let's see what Pokemon the opponent is going to bring out. Could be seeing a Jirachi EX, maybe, and if that is the case, a Silent Lab would have been a good card to keep in our deck, but I'm not really sure. I don't think so, because I mean, Jirachi EX would be a bit of a counterintuitive Pokemon. With these mill types of decks, you really want to stall, and Pokemon such as Jirachi X can just be a very, very massive sort of liability Pokemon. Alright, so we are seeing an Nincada, and awesome, we'll definitely be able to get rid of the opponent's Ninjask. Let's go and attach that double colorless energy onto that Reshiram. Reshiram just really seems to be pulling its weight in this deck, so I'm going to go and attach a double colorless energy onto that Beartic. Let's go and use that Outrage, hit our opponent for 80 damage, and then draw onto a prize card. So we are going to see a Robo Substitute make its appearance. I feel like at this point, things are going quite well for us. The opponent is going to look for that VS Seeker, and it looks like it is going to be the Professor Birch's Observations. The opponent is going to flip the tail, so that's nice, only being able to draw onto 4 cards. We are seeing a Ninjask make its appearance, another Phoebus going into the opponent's discard pile as well, but it looks like they're not going to bring out that Phoebus as their active Pokemon just yet. You know what, in case the opponent uses cards like Ends and things like that, I'm going to hold off on really playing any more of our cards. So let's go and use that Outrage to knock out the opponent's Robo Substitute, and then the opponent is of course going to bring out that Ninjask one more time. So that Wing Buzz ability, I think we're probably going to see the Execute Propagation ability. Again, a Professor Birch's Observation. The opponent is going to get a Heads this time around, drawing onto a brand new hand. Looks like we're going to see a Robo Substitute make its appearance. But again, the opponent's Ninjask is not out of harm's way unless of course he has a Switch or the Escape Rope at hand. So that Execute is going to go into the discard pile once again. We are seeing the Wing Bus attack that is going to get rid of the the Dive Ball into our discard pile. Of course, I definitely was not going to make use of that. Anyways, we're going to see the Super Scoop Up. The opponent's going to flip the Heads and return his Pokemon back into his hand. So I'd love to get a Lysander VS Seeker, guys. If I can get rid of those Nincadas, I feel like we should be able to win the game. We are seeing the Ultra Ball though. Looks like it's going to be another Execute going into the opponent's hand. So at this point, they're just really trying to stall the game. Now they have to be a little bit careful that they don't actually deck themselves out, because I mean, we do have 10 cards in our deck, but the opponent has 16 cards as well, so just something to keep in mind. Alright, let's go and use that outrage attack to knock out the opponent's robo substitute. And now the opponent will be able to bring out the... I'm sure we're going to see the Kata make its appearance once again. Yeah, it looks like that is going to be the case. And then Jask is of course going to come out as well. So it looks like these Jellicents are really paying off. I mean, that stickiness ability and of course the Team Aqua secret base, making it very difficult for the opponent to really make the most out of their mill type deck. So we are seeing the Ninjask of course make its appearance one more time. Those Melodics could of course be quite troubling as well, just because that Sparkling Ripple could allow the opponent to look for a Trick Shovel, for example, and then deck us out a little bit faster. We're seeing the N, that is going to reduce the number of cards in our hand a little bit. Trick Shovel one more time, and the opponent is getting rid of quite a few of our cards. Definitely will be holding off on that N, just because it could potentially help us out. We're seeing the Robo Substitute make its appearance one more time. Another Phoebus going into the opponent's bench. I think the... Okay, so it looks like we're going to see the Escape Rope. And let's go and bring out the Beartic. It should be able to knock out the vast majority of our opponent's Pokemon, which in this case it is going to be a Robo Substitute, so that'll be a very easy Pokemon for us to knock out. We will be able to hit it for 80 damage. Let's go and use that Igloo Hold, and then that is going to end the turn. We're seeing the Ninjask make its appearance one more time. Again, the opponent is getting quite close to decking us out, but they're actually getting dangerously close to decking themselves out as well. So this is a bit of an interesting scenario. I mean, I'm sure the opponent did not foresee a deck that runs the Jellicent with the stickiness ability, so I'm sure that is absolutely not something that anyone would really foresee. So this is a very unique sort of strategy we have going on. The opponent is going to get that Super Scoop Up and bring that Melodic back into their hand. I think we're going to see another Trick Shovel, guys. I feel like at this point the opponent is just trying to speed up the rate at which they can try and force us to deck out, but again, they are having a bit of a difficult time. So Beartic is more than enough of a powerful Pokemon. Okay, looks like we're going to see the Escape Rope. I guess let's go and bring out the Reshiram as our active Pokemon again, and it looks like the opponent is going to bring out that Melodic, so I think I'm going to go and retreat that Reshiram, guys. I do want to knock out the opponent's Melodic in a single attack. Why am I not able to... Okay, so I need an additional energy card. Not really sure if I... You know what? I think I'm not going to retreat then. Let's actually just go and attack with that Reshiram, hitting our opponent's Melodic for 40 damage. Actually, yeah, I should have retreated. That was a bit foolish. Thought I could hit it for 80 damage. Completely forgot that I did not have the Fire weakness. The opponent is going to make use of that end card one more time. Again, they only have 5 cards remaining, guys, so I think they may actually deck themselves out faster than we deck out. I think that would be a pretty funny way to see the opponent lose the game. So we're seeing another Melodic make its appearance, possibly the Trick Shovel this time around. Not entirely sure, but let's see what the opponent decides to grab out from their discard pile. Looks like it's going to be an additional Ninkata, but as long as his Ninjasks are not the opponent's active Pokemon. Okay, so looks like we're going to see the Escape Rope. Let's go and bring out that Beartic again, which is the real killer of our deck. That Ninjask, we will be able to knock it out in a single attack. We're seeing the Execute get propagated back into the opponent's hand. That is going to force the Double Colors energy into our discard pile. So this is a very intense game at the moment, but I would love to see the opponent lose by them decking out. I mean, that's not that's just a hilariously ironic way to go out. So we're going to see the switch again, Melodic make its appearance. Our Beartic more than powerful enough to be able to knock it out in a single attack. So Igloo Hold for 120 damage, so that is an impressive amount of damage, and that is going to allow us to draw onto an additional card. Let's see, do we have all of our ends in the discard pile? No, just 2 ends in our discard pile. Okay, so that's good. That's definitely a very good sign for us. That means we could potentially have 2 more ends in our deck. But again, I'm very, very reluctant to make use of any of our supporter cards, or really lay down any more of our Pokemon or our energy cards, because we are facing a mill deck, and I have to be absolutely very, very careful. So, okay, so Ninjask, of course, going to get rid of an additional Jellicent and send it into the discard pile. Really, really thankful for these Jellicents. I mean, they really seem to be making all the difference between us being able to win the game, and it looks like we're going to see that AZ, so an additional Ninjask making its appearance. Okay, so this is really crunch time now, guys. the opponent is really picking up the slack here and trying to deck us out faster and faster. So let's go and use that Igloo Hold, hit that Ninjask for exactly 80 damage, 10 HP more than enough to be able to knock it out. So 2 prize cards remaining. Will we be able to draw onto our remaining 2 prize cards, or will the opponent be able to deck out the remaining 5 cards in our deck? We'll see. This is a very interesting battle. Have to give the opponent some credit. I mean, running mill decks usually is kind of risky, I would say, especially one like this, just because they're very hard to pull off from time to time. Okay, so we're going to see another easy, that Ninjask, and the Nincada, of course, going back into the opponent's hand. Would love to have drawn into an additional Lysander, but that's okay. Let's see, so only 5 Pokemon. You know what, I'm scared that the opponent might have a Trick Shovel or 2 or something like that up their sleeve. So you know what, I'm going to go and use that Colress and get some of our cards back into our deck. So now we have 6 cards remaining in our deck, and we have an N in our hand. Alright, so things are looking pretty good right now. Let's go and use that Igloo Hold, hit our opponent's Melodic for 120 damage, and that will allow us to draw onto 1 more prize card. I think this is going to be GG for the opponent, guys. I don't think they're going to be able to win unless they have an additional Robo Substitute or somehow able to prolong their death by a little bit. So again, they got very close to decking us out, but with 5 cards remaining, I just don't foresee the opponent as really being able to make any sort of comeback. So we're seeing the VS Seeker. Let's see what the opponent decides to look for. Looks like it's going to be Professor Birch's Observation. Yeah, so it looks like the opponent has essentially given up the game. But nonetheless, this was a very exciting and fantastic game, I have to say. And yeah, so it looks like that is going to be it, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to hit that like or subscribe button, or just by clicking that awesome little Pikachu at the bottom right corner. And I will see you guys next time.